You've survived things that would have broken other people. You made it through. You're still here. But somewhere along the way, you stopped feeling like yourself. You don't trust good moments anymore. When something nice happens, your body tenses up, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Someone compliments you, and your first thought is, what do they want? You get invited somewhere, and you're already calculating exit strategies before you've even said yes. And now you realize you're not living anymore. You're just bracing for impact. Your nervous system treats peace like a threat. Calm feels dangerous. Quiet feels wrong. So you fill the silence with worry, with planning, with worst-case scenarios. Because if you're always prepared for disaster, maybe it won't hurt as much when it comes. And now you're exhausted from a battle that hasn't even started. If survival was supposed to make you stronger, why does everything feel harder? If you made it through, why doesn't it feel like you made it out? You think you're being realistic. You think you're protecting yourself. You think everyone who hasn't been through what you've been through just doesn't understand how the world really works. But what if you're not being careful? What if your brain is stuck in a threat detection mode it can't turn off? And what if, right now, you're not responding to what's happening? You're responding to what already happened. If you could see what survival has done to your neural pathways, would you still call it strength? The truth beneath the armor. The truth is, your brain didn't break. It adapted. It kept you alive when life became unbearable. But the same mechanisms that protected you then are now preventing you from experiencing safety now. And the moment you understand what survival does to the brain, everything about your responses starts making sense. Here's what we're uncovering. But here's what you need to know, and what changes once you understand it. Your nervous system can stay locked in survival mode long after the danger has passed, but it can also be taught to recognize safety again. And today, that's exactly what we're going to understand. So here's how we'll do it, step by step, starting with one simple awareness. First, we'll look at 3 patterns that show up when you've survived too much. The hypervigilance that never turns off, the emotional numbing that feels like protection, and the relationship patterns that keep you isolated. Then, we'll understand exactly what's happening in your brain, why your amygdala stays activated, how chronic stress rewires your neural pathways, and why your body learned to treat safety as dangerous. And finally, you'll get 5 research-backed practices that can help your nervous system relearn safety. Simple, powerful techniques you can start using today. This isn't about positive thinking or just getting over it. This is about understanding the neuroscience of survival and giving your brain what it actually needs to heal. By the end, you'll understand why you respond the way you do. You'll have concrete tools to work with your nervous system instead of against it, and you'll see that healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about helping your brain realize the war is over. What survival really looks like. Your brain became a threat detection machine. Neuroscientist Dr. Bessel van der Kolk at the Trauma Center in Boston spent decades studying how adversity changes the brain. What he discovered fundamentally changed how we understand survival. When you experience repeated trauma or chronic stress, your amygdala, your brain's alarm system, becomes hypersensitive. It starts flagging neutral situations as dangerous. You walk into a room and immediately scan for exits. Someone raises their voice slightly and your heart rate spikes. A text takes 3 minutes longer than usual to arrive, and you're convinced something terrible happened. This isn't paranoia. This is your amygdala doing exactly what it learned to do, protect you by assuming the worst. Dr. van der Kolk found that trauma survivors show persistent activation in brain regions associated with fear and threat detection, even when viewing neutral faces. Your brain literally sees danger where none exists because it's been trained that missing a threat could be fatal. Then there's the emotional flatness. You feel disconnected from moments that should matter. Someone you love is talking to you, and you're aware you should feel something, but there's just distance. Joy feels muted, excitement feels exhausting, even sadness feels far away. Researchers at Yale University discovered that chronic adversity actually reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation and experiencing positive emotions. Your brain didn't stop caring. It started conserving energy by turning down the volume on everything, because feeling too much for too long becomes unsustainable. And here's the pattern most people never notice. You push people away before they can leave. You create tests nobody can pass. You find reasons why relationships won't work before they even start. Because if you're the one who ends it, at least you saw it coming. This is called preemptive abandonment. Your brain learned that connection leads to loss, so it protects you by preventing deep connection in the first place. You're not afraid of being alone. You're terrified of being left, so you leave first. Why your brain won't let go? Your nervous system operates on a simple principle: survival first, everything else second. When you experience repeated adversity, your brain's primary goal shifts from thriving to surviving. And survival mode has a very specific biological signature. Dr. Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller University spent his career studying what he called allostatic load, the cumulative wear and tear on the body when the stress response is chronically activated. What he discovered is crucial. Your body is designed to handle acute stress brilliantly. Your heart rate increases. Stress hormones flood your system. Your senses sharpen. Perfect for escaping immediate danger. But when threat becomes constant, when bad things keep happening, your body never gets the signal to stand down. Your stress response stays activated. Cortisol levels remain elevated. Your amygdala becomes increasingly sensitive while your prefrontal cortex, the part that says, "This situation is actually safe," becomes less active. McEwen's research showed that chronic stress literally shrinks the hippocampus, the brain region crucial for distinguishing past from present. This is why you can intellectually know you're safe now, but your body still responds as if you're in danger. Your brain lost some of its ability to tell the difference between then and now. Evolution shaped your nervous system to prioritize avoiding danger over seeking reward. Missing one opportunity to eat has minor consequences. Missing one threat could mean death. So your brain developed a negativity bias. It's hardwired to scan for and remember threats more than positive experiences. When you survive too much, this bias intensifies. Your brain learns. The world is dangerous, people leave, good things don't last. Letting your guard down leads to pain. These aren't conscious beliefs you chose. They're survival conclusions your nervous system reached based on your lived experience. And here's what most people misunderstand. You're not broken. Your responses aren't defects. They're adaptations. Your hypervigilance kept you safe when you needed it. Your emotional numbing prevented you from being overwhelmed when you had no other option. Your isolation protected you from additional hurt when you had nothing left to give. The problem isn't that these mechanisms exist. The problem is they don't automatically turn off when circumstances change. Your nervous system needs explicit evidence of safety, repeated over time, to begin updating its threat assessment. Teaching your brain that the war is over. You can't think your way out of survival mode. You have to show your nervous system through experience that it's safe to let go. Here's how. Start with somatic awareness, the simplest practice that changes everything. Right now, notice your breath. Don't change it, just observe it. Where do you feel it? Chest, belly, throat? Now notice your feet on the ground, the weight of your body in your chair. This is called grounding. And neuroscientist Dr. Stephen Porges at Indiana University discovered it activates your vagus nerve, the nerve that signals safety to your brain. When you're dysregulated, your brain literally cannot access rational thought. But bringing attention to physical sensation, Breath, body, contact with ground activates your parasympathetic nervous system. This tells your amygdala, we're not running, we're not fighting, therefore we must be safe. Practice this for 60 seconds, multiple times daily, especially when you notice hypervigilance rising. Here's a technique that works even in the hardest moments. The 5-4-3-2-1 sensory grounding method. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. This interrupts your threat response by redirecting your brain to process present moment sensory input rather than perceived threats. Your amygdala can't be in both threat scanning mode and sensory processing mode simultaneously. Another powerful practice is orienting. Slowly turn your head and let your eyes track the room. Notice windows, doors, objects. Do this slowly, letting your gaze rest on each thing for a moment. This signals to your nervous system, I'm taking in my environment calmly, therefore there's no immediate threat. Predators don't pause to observe their surroundings. This ancient biological signal tells your body it's safe to stand down. Once you've tried those, here's what to add: bilateral stimulation. Researchers studying trauma processing discovered that engaging both hemispheres of your brain simultaneously helps process stuck threat responses. Cross your arms and slowly tap alternating shoulders, or tap your knees alternating left-right, or slowly move your eyes left to right. This mimics what happens naturally during REM sleep when your brain processes experiences. Use this for 2 to 3 minutes when you notice you're stuck in a trauma response. Here's a practice that works when hypervigilance feels overwhelming. Intentional sighing. Dr. Andrew Huberman at Stanford discovered that physiological sighs, a deep inhale followed by a second shorter inhale, then a long exhale, are the fastest way to reduce stress in real time. Your body does this naturally when overwhelmed, but you can do it deliberately. 2 inhales through the nose, long exhale through the mouth. This immediately reduces activation in your amygdala and increases activity in your prefrontal cortex. 3 physiological sighs can shift your state in under a minute. What changes when you practice? Here's what you need to know. Healing from survival mode isn't about erasing what happened or pretending you weren't changed by it. It's about updating your nervous system's threat assessment so it can distinguish between past danger and present safety. This takes time. Your brain learned these patterns through repetition, and it unlearns them through repetition. But every time you practice grounding, every time you consciously engage your parasympathetic nervous system, you're literally creating new neural pathways. You're teaching your amygdala that it doesn't need to scan constantly anymore. You're rebuilding the connection between your prefrontal cortex and your limbic system, so rational awareness can communicate with emotional response. You're showing your body, through felt experience, that safety is possible. The goal isn't to stop being careful. The goal is to stop treating every moment like a crisis. To be able to receive good things without waiting for them to turn bad. To connect with people without constantly calculating how much it will hurt when they leave. You survived. That took everything you had. Now you get to learn how to live again. And that starts with teaching your nervous system that the worst is over. You've made it this far. That matters. Now what if you could do more than just survive? What if you could actually rest?